just been connected to the largest spiritual network on the planet, The Jeffrey Daugherty Show.
Jeffrey Daugherty.
Sink or swim, deep end information, parabiblical research, spiritual technologies, personal empowerment. Be your own guru. Guide your own spirit. Master your own ascension. And now, showing you how, here's Jeffrey Daugherty.
Well, hello, folks. This is Jeffrey Daugherty back again with the Jeffrey Daugherty Show. I'm the Christian whistleblower, and this week we're looking at the Bible and beyond. If you missed yesterday's show, it might be worth the 15 minutes to go back and get the foundation, because it will be, in fact, the foundation for everything that we're talking about this week. And regardless of what you hear about Jeffrey Daugherty, who he is, what he thinks, what he believes, I clearly and emphatically stated with you yesterday that I do believe the Bible. I do read the Bible. I do study the Bible. In fact, I've read it over 100 times cover to cover and have studied it for over 30 years, 35 years really. So I read the Bible, I study the Bible, I believe the Bible, I have respect for the Bible. I also read where the Apostle John wrote that if all the acts and thoughts of Jesus, Yeshua, were written down, that all the books of all the world could not contain them. So I believe that Jesus cannot be contained within the 66 books that make up what we call the Bible. And I believe that there is wisdom, truth, learning, and benefit beyond the Bible if we're talking about the teachings of Yahushua Jesus Christ. And if you want to believe in contrast and in contradiction to what the Apostle John taught, that within the one book of the Bible, really 66 books compiled into one, if you want to believe that the Bible and the Bible alone contains all the teaching of Yeshua Jesus Christ, all the wisdom of Yeshua Jesus Christ, all the learning of Yeshua Jesus Christ, in that one book, you can believe it. The Apostle John, who walked, talked, ate, laughed, cried, lived with Jesus for 3.5 years, he disagrees with you, but, it's totally up to you. You can believe in contradiction to what John teaches, that everything about Jesus that you need to know, everything about Yeshua, not to mention the divine and everything that goes along with it, is in that one collection of books. You can believe that. Yeah, you can. Or you can choose to follow the lead of the Apostle John and consider that there just might be some truth beyond the Bible. Because if John said not all the books in the world could contain his wisdom, his teaching, his deeds, and how in the world could 66 of them contain it all? It just didn't make any sense to me. So what I decided to do about, 1999, 2000, around 2001, 10 years ago, 13 years ago, I'm a Bible college graduate, not a math major. I guess it is about 13 years ago. I decided to start learning and studying everything from the ground up, from the original languages up, started with the Bible, and then maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, began to realize, after reading the Apostle John, that, hey, you know what? There just might be some more out there for me to know and to learn and to understand beyond the Bible. Now, my belief about the Bible is very simple, and it's very consistent with the belief of Thomas Jefferson. Now, it's one thing for you to say that Jeff Daugherty is a weirdo, wacko, fringe nutcase. It's quite another for you to believe that Thomas Jefferson, third President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, is. He wrote that the New Testament contains diamonds, words, teachings, beliefs about Jesus, and it contains dung, garbage, poo-poo, doo-dah, doo-doo, caca, and maybe some doo-dah, doo-dah day, from weak minds, is how he put it. I agree with him. And when I talk about these other books and teachings they're the same way. They all have some beautiful diamonds of truth and teaching from the divine and from Jesus, Yeshua. And they also have some dung, some things from the minds of men that probably aren't part of the real divine revelation. And somebody says, well, how do we know the difference? The way you know the difference is because you know the difference. Jefferson wrote that when you read and when you're tuned in spiritually, the difference is so plain and so easy to see. And I know from experience that it really is. But most of us, the vast majority of us, want someone to tell us what's right, tell us what's wrong, tell us what to read, tell us what not to read, tell us where to go, when to go, how to go. We're programmed to be robots. Well, guess what? If you're going to be a robot, if you're going to be a slave, you're going to receive a slave's wage. If you will take the time to tune yourself in spiritually, you will be able to read the New Testament, the Bible, and all the writings beyond, and you'll be able to know, bam, instantaneously, what is true and what is diamond and what is dung. Now, I'm in the process of compiling the Diamond New Testament, which will remove all the writings of false apostle Paul, and will, in my opinion, remove all of the dung and leave the diamonds. I'm not going to do that for all these other books, I don't think. Actually, I never thought about that until right now. But you need to do your own work and not just believe what I tell you. But at any rate, I'm going to suggest to you some other places beyond the Bible that you can turn to for inspiration, that you can turn to for learning, that you can turn to for understanding the way, the truth, and the life that Yeshua, Jesus Christ, spoke of. And every single one of these sources that I reference, just because I reference it does not mean that I'm giving it a mass blanket, what's the word I'm looking for? Authorization, endorsement. I'm not doing that. I'm saying, like the New Testament, there's diamonds in these works. Like the New Testament, there's dung in these works. So the first one I want to mention, truth about Yeshua beyond the Bible, is I want to mention the Gospel of the Holy 12. This was compiled by the Reverend Gideon Jasper Richard Osley, Master of Arts. It's also known as the Gospel of the Nazarenes. I've read it, I've studied it. I believe it to be superior to the New Testament overall in communicating the true doctrine, belief, and teachings of the original Jesus movement. Many people believe that it was written by, of course, the Holy 12, of course, the disciples, and that it is a very close approximation of the original teachings of the early church. A lot of passages in it are very nearly identical to some within the New Testament, which doesn't bother me at all because there's diamonds in the New Testament and there's dung in the New Testament, and there's likely to be diamonds in the Gospel of the Holy 12 and dung as well. But the fact that it does agree with things that are in the King James Version, well, that just shows me that the King James Version had some stuff right, which does not surprise me at all. One thing I like about the Gospel of the Holy 12 is that it was smuggled out of the Holy Land, out of Jerusalem, out of Judea, before the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70 by the Romans, and thus it survived the Roman purge of documents and writings upon which the New Testament that we have now is based upon. Everything that Rome did not agree with was burned, destroyed, done away with by AD 70, and all that was left in compiling the Bible we have today were Roman approved and Roman sniff tested scriptures. The Gospel of the Holy 12 was taken out of the Holy Land. It was taken out of Jerusalem, and it was held in a monk monastery, a Hindu or Buddhist monastery. It slips my mind right now which one, I'm sorry. And it was held there for hundreds, even over 1,000 years, until it was brought back out of the monastery. And this churchman, Reverend Gideon Jasper Richard Ousley, went and translated it and revealed it to us. And I say and believe and offer it to you as a great companion to the Bible, something as the Bible and beyond. Let me just give you a couple of words from the preface. The editors cannot add nor take away, but by the divine Spirit, the gospel communicated to the four above mentioned, and by them translated and given to the writers. It's just the Gospel of the Holy 12 is offered here as an inspired writing coming in many variety of forms and of sources. The Gospel of the Holy 12 is an inspiration and a moral compass. And I believe that as you read through the Gospel of the Holy 12, you're going to find some dung there, but you're also going to find some diamonds, and they're going to speak to you largely to the true and original intention of the original Jesus movement. They're free, by and large, from the Pauline poison that followed Paul's rise as a false apostle, and they're free from all of the, the Constantinian, Nicene Council, and everybody thinks that was a church council. The ruler, the emperor, Constantine called that council. It was a political movement, and that's one of the great blessings to me of the Gospel of the Holy 12. It's free from Roman editing. I can't put it any more simply than that. There's also another book that, many people are going to say, I'm crazy for even talking about this one. But you know what? I have read it. I have looked at it. And I believe that this book does contain some, again, diamonds that are very worthy of us reading. It's called the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, the philosophic and practical basis of the religion of the Aquarian age, of the world, and church universal. Written by a guy named Levi Dowling. It was first published just after the turn of the century in 1908. Now, he believes that he transcribed the book from the Akashic Records, which, of course, is a collection of mystical knowledge that is, many people believe, encoded in a non-physical plane of existence. And it has been adopted by many what are called New Age spiritual groups. I've got to tell you, though, that as you read through the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, and another thing that's very impressive to me is that both the Gospel of the Holy 12 and the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ can both be accessed online free of charge. So be that as it may, what it's worth. But the Aquarian Gospel talks about the birth and the early life of Mary, talks about the birth and infancy of John the Baptist, talks about their education, talks about the early education of Jesus, talks about how Jesus, Yahushua, was in India, Tibet, Persia, Syria, Greece, Egypt, and gives some background and explanation as to why his way, his truth, his life, his way seems to contain the best of all the ways of the places like India, Tibet, Persia, Syria, Greece, Egypt. It seems to contain elements from all those different teachings. And it would make sense to me, and as you read it and it speaks to you, that it seems to come together and have a high quality of diamonds. It has a high diamond to dung ratio. And then it talks about the ministry of Jesus, talks about his arrest, talks about the whole crucifixion scenario, and talks about the establishment of his church. So those are two offerings that I give you beyond the Bible for more understanding, more truth, a more fuller revelation of Jesus Christ beyond the Bible. So I encourage you to read the New Testament, study the New Testament. I also encourage you to go beyond the Bible to the Gospel of the Holy 12, to the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, both of which, in my humble opinion, has a higher diamond to dung ratio than the New Testament, not meaning the New Testament's not worthy, just that's my opinion. Read them, let me know what you think. You can contact me. Cliff's going to tell you how on the way out. And until tomorrow, I am the Christian whistleblower, Jeffrey Daugherty, wishing you peace and light.
Stay connected with the largest spiritual network on the planet, www.imnck.com. On Facebook, Jeffrey Daugherty and Jeffrey Daugherty Show. And on Twitter at NC Kabbalah. Visit imnck.com today and learn how to create yourself and live the life you'll love.